Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Michelle Scoggins. I'm a licensed psychologist. And on these videos, I love to share with you tips and tricks about mental health. And so for the purpose of today's video, I would like to share with you three things that you can do to battle seasonal affective disorder, better known as seasonal depression. We are in the middle of winter, holidays are amongst us, and things may not be feeling so great, especially if you live in the part of the world that is kind of gloomy, dark a lot. It may be raining. And so this really affects our mood oftentimes without us even recognizing, because it just pops up on us. And so today I'm going to talk to you, one, about what is seasonal affective disorder. And then two, what are my three ways that I use to help patients fight that? So stay tuned, and I can't wait to get into this. So let's begin. If you enjoy these type of videos, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can bring more your way. So first off, let's talk about what is seasonal affective disorder. We hear it a lot. We hear seasonal depression. We assume that it's in the winter time, and most frequently it is in the winter time because, again, as I mentioned, the weather changes. So it is very similar to depression, which is feelings of sadness, hopelessness, fatigue, or a tendency to oversleep. Maybe you're experiencing insomnia as well. So it does affect your sleep one way or another. And then there are changes in appetite. Either you're not eating very well, but typically a seasonal affective disorder, you tend to overeat. A telltale sign that it is seasonal affective disorder, or SAD for short, seasonal depression. A telltale sign that this is not regular depression is that you are wanting or craving carbohydrates, and typically not your good carbs. I'm talking like junk food, sugary drinks, typically breads if you don't eat bread a lot, fast food if you don't eat fast food a lot. It's just this increase of simple carbohydrates and really unhealthy food. So think about that as one of the telltale signs. Another sign is loss of energy, irritability, or just really being sensitive around a lot of things, difficulty concentrating. You're feeling like you're having a lot of this brain fog. Thoughts aren't coming to you as easily as they normally did. Having a hard time with thoughts of suicide. Suicide thoughts increase around this time of the year. Oftentimes suicide attempts occur earlier in spring because people tend to have, there's a lot of research around that, people tend to have more energy during that time. Whereas when you're in the thick of the depression, you're less likely to attempt suicide. But if you're having thoughts of suicide, and this is kind of a disclaimer in the video, if those are things that are coming up for you where you're thinking of suicide or they've become more disturbing thoughts, I would recommend reaching out to a professional that is in the state in which you live. I know I get a lot of people requesting information from me because it is easy to send out comments and stuff like that. And I love that. I try to do my best to respond to those things. However, if I don't live in the state in which you live, I cannot be your treating therapist. And so I do recommend that you see a therapist in the state that you live in. And if, related to your insurance and that kind of thing. And so I really do highly recommend, if you're having thoughts of suicide, to contact a local therapist. I will also link below the suicide hotline, which you can call or text them. And those are very good resources to have in the moment. So those are the signs and symptoms of seasonal affective disorder, which are very similar to depression. Again, that telltale sign is that it's coming on in the wintertime and that you have this increased desire of carbs. I relate it to like bears in hibernation. If you feel like you're going in hibernation mode where you're not feeling so great, you're tired, you're grumpy, and you just want to kind of load up on the food a lot to take a big nap, that's probably seasonal affective disorder. And so into the 3 tips, these are huge things, and I'm going to explain the reason why they are effective and how to use them. The first and foremost, this is great for depression, but especially for seasonal affective disorder, is exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. In the wintertime, we tend to not want to go outside because it's cold and gloomy. And therefore, if you are a walker, a bike rider, a runner, you exercise typically outdoors, this may shut down in this time of the year because you don't want to go out in the weather. So what I would recommend is substituting what you did outdoors and bring it indoors. So if you're a bike rider, buy a stationary bike. If you have, if you're a runner, look into a treadmill. These things, you can also go to the gym. I'm not suggesting you need to buy fancy equipment to fight seasonal affective disorder. I'm saying use different resources. And so if you can get a membership at a gym, that'd be great. Little things like even going to a mall and taking a walk around the mall, going to Costco, that's a big one for me, taking a walk around Costco. Do these things even though they feel like you're not doing a lot. Exercise is very huge. One, it increases your self-esteem because if you're moving more, you feel better, right? It improves your sleep. You're using your body, and therefore it is getting fatigued on its own versus the fatigue of depression, and therefore you're going to sleep a little bit better. And exercise also has the ability to reduce anxiety. And as we know, anxiety and depression are kind of like cousins here. They really coexist together a lot of times. And so if we can reduce one, we're likely to also reduce the other one. So exercise is huge. The last thing is that exercise releases those feel-good chemicals in our body, neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters that exercise releases for us is dopamine and serotonin. These are 2 very important chemicals. Dopamine is our happy chemical. That is what is released in our bodies to make us feel happy. Serotonin, on the other hand, is our comforting or relaxing chemical, which is found in antidepressants. And so anyone who has watched any of my videos before, and I'll link a couple below, serotonin can be created naturally within your body and therefore can ward off depression. However, our diet is widely responsible for our serotonin improvement, and therefore, if you don't have a good, healthy diet, likelihood is you're low in serotonin, and that's why a lot of medical providers request that you go on an antidepressant because that's their form of treatment. So exercise is the first thing. Second thing is food with vitamin D. We know vitamin D and the sun coexist, right? So the sun helps us produce vitamin D in our bodies. And when we are limited to our sun use because of clouds and rain and all of those things, we aren't getting the vitamin D that our bodies need. One thing that I typically recommend for my clients is to see their medical providers twice a year for a blood draw. Once in the summer, because summer tends to have our most efficient blood. Everything's running smoothly because the weather is good and all of that. And then once in the winter, because we do want to see the effects of the vitamin D on your body. And so a lot of people are vitamin D deficient in the wintertime. So finding foods rich in vitamin D can be very helpful. Those foods are oily fish like salmon, sardines, herring, and mackerel, red meat, liver, egg yolks. So those are all of your meat supplements. For those of you that may be vegan, looking more along the lines of mushrooms, soy milk, some breakfast cereals have a lot of vitamin D. If you tend to not want to use those sources, supplements like as omega-3s, because then you get your fatty fish oils in the omegas if you're not a meat eater, and or again, seeing your medical provider, getting a blood draw. If you are low in vitamin D, your medical provider can prescribe you a dosage of vitamin D to take as a daily supplement. However, I would not do that without the recommendation of your doctor, because even though it's a supplement, it can have negative effects on the body if you are overdoing your vitamin D. Alrighty, guys, so that's number 2. The third and final way that I help clients and even myself fight seasonal affective disorder is light therapy. If you have not heard about this, you can find them on Amazon. I will link one below. Let me show you the one that I have. This is my lamp that I use for light therapy. This is what it looks like turned on, pretty bright. You can adjust the brightness on it, and you can also adjust the time limit on it. So right here, you have a timer. And I typically set it off to the side. I know you can't see it, it's out of camera. I set it off catty corner to my visual field, and I leave it on for an hour. They suggest that you have light therapy as early in the morning as possible. So upon waking, you can sit on the couch, drink your coffee, have your light over there for an hour, and then you can see the brightness, how bright it is. That is the reason why I don't have it directly in my field of vision, because I've done that before and it gave me a headache. And so having it off catty corner for an hour per day, especially when you're not getting great sunlight, and this could be helpful. The reason it's suggested to do it in the daytime and not in the evening is because it does mimic natural sunlight. And therefore, if you use it later on in the day, you may interrupt your natural sleep-wake cycle. Light therapy has been shown in research to be very beneficial and a great duplicate for the sun. And so those today, guys, are my 3 ways that I help myself and I help clients fight seasonal affective disorder, known as seasonal depression. And that is through exercise, through food, and through light therapy. So I hope this video was super helpful for you. If you have not already done so, please like, comment, subscribe, ask for more videos. I'm here to give you the information that I spent 10 years in school getting, but I love to give it away for free. So I will see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoyed this winter.